What up, all the early peeps in the chat? The event, yeah. We're listen. The reason is because Bim takes too long setting up his audio.
That's what that is. Yeah, that's the reason.
That's
definitely not.
I was trying to say, I was like, "Hey, Bim, we should start," and he was like, "No, I need to configure some random audio stuff."
Guys, it was Tim. It was Tim.
Okay, it may have been me with the configuration, but Bim contributed by not hearing my audio.
By not hearing, yeah. Tim would say, "Bim, can you hear my audio?" I would go, "No."
Is that your American accent?
That's my Tim Roswick accent.
Hello, where's your audio?
Bim, can you hear my audio? I said, "No, I can't." He said, "God damn it. God damn it, Bim."
Hashtag blame Bim. I like that one.
No,
that's a good one. That's a good one. We should make that a thing. No. That should be a community thing.
Blame Bim.
Stefko, Kira, Samuel, Mihail, Abby, Stefane, Tim. Basically, okay, hold on. It's hashtag blame Bim. The writer, Corisia. If I butcher your names, that means I love you. No, blame. Listen, okay. Just because Tim and Bim rhyme doesn't mean you can interchange the memes. They're two different people. Haven't you noticed?
Listen, I am.
This music makes me want to get down.
What? Go to sleep?
Well, more like do the booty clap, but you know.
Oh. It's been a long
Y'all
time.
Can't see, but I'm dancing right now.
Tim is doing the booty clap right now. How's everybody doing? Metin, Arda, Olgar, Kevin, host. Oh, that's me. Stefane. Thank you, Mihail. It is hashtag blame Tim. Thank you very much.
No, you're trying to stop trying to make blame Tip happen, okay?
Blame Tim. Inaudible Bim. Wait, can you guys hear me?
Can we hear you? What? No, I can't hear anything. I don't know what you're talking about. I told you guys Bim's audio is messed up. You didn't believe me.
Wait, guys, can you not hear me? Everything seems okay on my end. Inaudible Bim.
Can you guys hear Bim?
Nobody said it.
And we're live. My name is Tim Roswick, and hopefully we can hear Bim. We don't know. He's all right. How's everybody doing today? We got a couple subjects we're going to talk about. We're going to try something a little bit different. I thought because the last few weeks we've been doing community just driven discussions. We've been talking about all kinds of stuff, but I thought we would go over some content we found on the internet and share it with you guys first of all, and then give our thoughts on it and see where we go with it. I don't know. You guys tell us. You like it? You don't like it? You hate it? You can hear both? No, you can't. Bim is silent.
Saying nothing. If you can hear me when I'm not speaking, you've got internet issues.
Invader Bim was taken.
Hello, Bim and Tim. Hello.
Hello.
My bird attacking.
Malacanis. Again, if I get your name wrong, it means I love you.
We've got some OGs. Dr. Puzzler. This is for you. This is for everybody. It's for everybody.
There's no more dancing. It's not that there was no dancing. It's that there's no current dancing. I mean, we can get down. I could do like the pecker.
The pecker. You know, for any Brits in the audience.
Okay, it's time to move on.
Moving on. The sweet words echo my mind eternally for better or worse. Hell yeah. Wait, mine or Tim's? Or some unknown third.
We'll just have to split that equally, 50-50. It's a compliment.
It is.
What's wrong with current XP systems? Well, there's a YouTube channel called GameDev Adventures, which I'm going to link to you guys, but we should hear from them what they have to think. So we're going to try something new. May or may not work, and we'll see. But I'm going to cut the music. I'm going to turn on the stream. I'm going to link you guys this YouTube video, but we're going to watch it together.
Tim takes full responsibility for any videos that might be recommended as a result of this.
Yeah. So we're going to go full theater mode so you guys can see the whole theater. And I take full responsibility for this low effort content while we watch YouTube videos together. No, but in all seriousness, I started watching this video the other day and I was like, this is actually a really good topic. And I feel like we should share this with you guys. So let's try it and see how it works. You ready? Ready, Bim?
I'm ready.
RPGs have been handling XP the same way for almost 50 years. Ever since Dungeons & Dragons released back in the 70s, players have been getting XP from killing monsters and completing quests, and using that XP to level up. Nobody really seems to question it, but I think we're in need of a serious revamp. Let me give you an example. I recently restarted Divinity Original Sin 2, and when I encountered the esteemed Royal Fire Slug, I initially tried to charm my way past. I began explaining that I was simply a humble messenger, sent by her husband to make amends for his mistakes. But as I was about to convince her not to attack me, I paused, sighed, and thought to myself, I just want the XP. And so, I killed the Royal Fire Slug and her Fire Slug servants to gain 3000 XP and get a little bit closer to level 4. Not exactly a great story.
So that right there, can I just say, is a huge problem in current games. The fact that whatever you incentivize in games means that the player is going to continually do those things, even when it's a worse experience for them. This happens all the time. So sometimes the best way forward is to kill 1,000 frogs in the river, when the most fun way forward is to go fight the dragon. Yeah. And it's legit a problem in modern games. So I agree with the problem. And this is where I stopped the video originally, because I was like, I agree with that problem. Let's see what he has to say. Bim, any thoughts on this?
I got none. That is exactly what I experienced. Dude, the amount of times I won't even try the correct way. You know, I'll be like 1/3 through the game. I'll be like, okay, the way forward. I'm being rewarded here for doing things in a I guess a good example is I'm being rewarded for grinding, right? I'm not being rewarded for progressing or exploring. I'm being rewarded for grinding, so I'm going to grind, you know?
Right.
And I'll do it.
That's where the incentive is, right? And I think that's, on one hand, that's a good thing because it keeps people playing the game from a game developer's point of view. On the other hand, you want players to have the best experience, and grinding is not always a good experience. And on top of that, in the last decade, it's gotten worse. Like, grinding is like ridiculous in some games. Like, I stopped playing Destiny 2, a game I absolutely love, because the random weapon drop with the random mods on the weapons, to get a weapon you want with a role that you want, you have to continually do the same thing over and over and over and over and over again and hope for a random chance of a loot drop. And it was a job, man.
Oh, good. Yeah,
I quit that job because I'm like, I don't got time for this.
Nope.
All right, let's continue this.
Let's keep going.
Sort of like when Luke Skywalker killed all the Ewoks so he'd have enough combat experience to fight Darth Vader. And look, I'm not saying I had to do that. I could have played the part and tried my best to talk it out. But I know how these games work. You need to gain experience to take on bigger challenges, and this piñata was too tempting to ignore. This got me thinking about how games handle XP. Most games reward a violent playstyle, handing out tons of experience for combat while giving little for anything else. This is often true even in games where talking or sneaking is an option. You're mechanically incentivized to fight, even if you want to roleplay a less violent approach.
I've 100% noticed this. I'm glad that they showed Fallout, because Fallout is one of these games for sure. But Deus Ex, that whole series, some of them are better than others, but it's like sucks because I love stealth games. I love them. And we haven't gotten another Splinter Cell in a long time. Okay. But I I try to play some of those open world, do whatever you want games stealthy because that's what I love. But the game almost always incentivizes blow up their face in combat action. And I'm kind of bummed by that because, like, I need to level up. I need to get my mods. I need to do all the stuff, right? But, like, I kind of want to just stealth. And what if I didn't kill any enemies? Doesn't that make me smart? Isn't that a fun experience? But I don't get any XP from that. Hitman does reward stealth. I think, but Hitman also completely punishes shooting somebody in the face. Like you get game over when you do that. So it's not
stealth. Yeah.
Yeah. I do think Hitman is very well balanced because if you kill somebody loudly when nobody's around, if you pick the right moment, then you're good. And so I do think that it's a sort of better system. But if you're talking about, like, the point of an experience system is to make people feel progression and to sort of content lock areas until you're sure that the player's ready for whatever challenges, and slowly unload a series of upgrades, right? Because you don't want to give them all the upgrades at once. You want to make sure that they get them sort of slowly over the game. So it works in that sense, but it's the gaining XP that I think is part of the issue.
Yeah.
Anything to add?
I got nothing.
Maroney?
Nope.
Approach. Killing enemies is usually one of the core ways to gain XP, and this creates a number of different problems. In Divinity, there are a limited number of enemies in the entire game, so you're incentivized to find and destroy every last one, regardless of the other options you have. In games where enemies do respawn, level grinding exists. Now, some games do like to ensure that there's always more XP available for players who really need it, like Elden Ring. But I think for a lot of games, the existence of level grinding is more of an unintended consequence than something they're looking to promote. Third, the actions your character takes often have little to do with the skill you're improving. Not good enough at lockpicking to break into a secret vault? Go fight a bunch of mutants and use your next level on lockpicking.
This is the thing that's always annoyed me. Although I think this is less of a mechanical problem and more of a narrative problem.
Right.
Because it's like, why did I get, I got a skill point. Now I can add it to lockpicking because I killed a Deathclaw, right?
Yeah. I thought Fallout did reward you for, or at least in Skyrim, the more you lockpick, the more, the better your lockpicking. In fact, isn't lockpicking the only way to upgrade your lockpicking skill in Skyrim?
I haven't played Skyrim. Don't murder me, but I played Morrowind and I played Fallout, so I can't tell you about how Skyrim works.
Guys, don't listen to this man ever again. Okay, never again.
Yeah, so there's a reason why Skyrim exists on every system ever, though, right? Yeah. Because I've seen plenty of people play it. It's been on plenty of different systems. I've watched plenty of videos on it, and it seems to be a well-rounded game where you can have your own experience. Yeah. I know people that are like not gamers. They don't consider themselves gamers. They don't play a lot of games, but they play the hell out of Skyrim. Because it's like, it lets you be what you want to be.
Metro 2033 on hard difficulties encourages a stealthier approach instead of firefights to preserve ammo. Dude, my eyes shot that comment. Rare Metro mention. Metro does do that. It does. I mean, Metro doesn't really have the experience system that we're kind of talking about here, but it definitely does. If we're taking the term experience literally, the experience of the game, then yes, it definitely does. Skyrim's funny. You power level stealth by stabbing the greybeards in the back, and they don't die because they're NPCs. Hey, nobody said it was perfect. All right, but look, you're being sneaky. You're being sneaky.
So I would love to hear from the chat how big of a deal that is to you. Like, as a player, does that break your immersion? Or are you kind of like, it's a game, stab him in the back? Like, do you just continue on with your day? Or do you kind of wish that the game had a little bit more of a direct connection to the world in what you're doing? I'd love to hear from you guys.
Skyrim is
when experience is generic.
Sorry, I cut you off.
No.
Wait, I just played Skyrim's experience is generic.
The best way to increase a skill is to farm XP, and that usually means fighting. These three problems have one thing in common. If you reward fighting above all else, players will find ways to justify killing monsters they normally wouldn't. So how did we get here? Well, these systems can be traced all the way back to Dungeons & Dragons. In a table
This is true. This is something I've really learned. I've done a ton of research into XP systems, leveling up, and all that. And almost all of the RPG stuff comes from the old school Dungeons and Dragons. In fact, some of the first video games that use level up systems were directly taken from Dungeons and Dragons. They were like, hey, that tabletop game everybody plays, what if we just made a digital version of it? And then we've just stuck to that same system ever since. It doesn't necessarily mean that system is the best system, especially for video games, especially for different types of games. We've seen this system in games that are not even RPGs, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I like when a game punishes you for peaceful. I like when a game punishes you for peaceful, violent playstyle. Is what makes Dishonored and Hitman so endearing to me. I don't quite. Hyperfix goes. I don't quite understand that comment. So you punishes you for going from peaceful to violent. You mean, as in pick one?
Maybe they just like to be evil.
Maybe.
Like, forget the peaceful stuff. Punish me.
I wish games like Fallout, which offer different builds, offer different solutions. Yeah, for sure. Okay, let's carry on the vid.
Yeah, well, hold on one sec. That's a really good point, though. I think it's a very general system built for generalities, and while I enjoy that, it does. The point stands. You can go kill a bunch of people and then level up this other unrelated skill. So it's kind of weird.
Tabletop game, set experience drops provide a simple way to handle progression. Being a dungeon master is hard enough, and having to decide how much experience each encounter should give would be an extra burden. The DM might choose to award XP for other activities or quests, but the drip feed from combat provides a solid baseline. When role-playing games started to go digital, developers imitated D&D as closely as possible. Many of the best old-school RPGs directly use the D&D rule set. Games like Pool of Radiance, Neverwinter Nights, and Baldur's Gate wore their Dungeons & Dragons affiliation as a badge of honor, and this meant using the same systems as tabletop players. The problem is that these systems were designed for tabletop games, and unsurprisingly work better for them.
Specifically because, look, and I haven't played Dungeons & Dragons, so I could be wrong about this, but from what I understand about a Dungeon Master and all that, is they can sort of make up rules on the fly, and they can adapt to situations that are happening. So they're not a hardcore, hard-coded constraint system. Well, it's built on one of those. The DM can sort of say, oh, yeah, well, then you walked around the corner and this big monster appeared. And he can craft the game around what's happening so he can taper. And maybe one day we'll get there with AI, right? Where the AI can just decide how to mess with you in the game.
Yeah.
I think that's why the systems work so well, because it's a very rigid system given to a very creative human that then can twist the rules as needed. Versus when you just take the rigid system, that's where some of these flaws emerge. Because the DM is going to be like, you can't kill 100 rats, man. There's no more rat. The rats ran away, right?
Yeah.
But
let's look back at my experience with.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's good. But like you're saying, you can't, without that flexibility, you're programming a set of rules and just I've lost my train of thought, but you understand what I'm trying to say, right? Yeah.
It's too rigid. It's too rigid of a system without a DM. Well, I almost tripped backwards. I was trying to balance on one leg for some reason. I fell backwards. But yeah, it's too rigid of a system without a sort of central creative force that changes up the experience or prevents the edge cases. In D&D, you can also level up using the milestone system, meaning when you hit some critical story beat, everyone gains a level, no XP calculations needed, and everyone levels up. That's cool. We don't need to go on Pokemon right now, but one of the things I actually love is like modern Pokemons and ROM hacks. When you complete a battle, your whole party gets XP. That's such a better system, bro. Because definitely. The amount of times I've thrown my Magikarp out and then pulled him back and then put out my Blastoise to kill the dude just to get a Gyarados, it's such a stupid way to play that game. It makes no sense, but that's the only way Magikarp gets any XP, because Magikarp doesn't have an attack that will attack anybody.
Dude, Pokemon's an insane example. When I was a kid, right, I would play it for the kind of immersion of it. I'd kind of, suspend disbelief and go back into it. But I recently got back into it again. And I remember kind of not feeling the same magic that I did when I was a kid. So I was like, okay, how do I get through this? Right? How do I beat the Elite Four? I'm struggling here. I got 6 Pokemon and they're all failing. So what I did is I just started the game from the beginning, and I said, okay, I'm only going to use one Pokemon. The starter Pokemon is really overpowered as it is, and it turns out if you just use the starter Pokemon, the game's so easy. It's so easy, but I lose the intended experience by doing. I guess this goes back to your point at the beginning, where you end up doing things that the game rewards you for experience
that are more optimal within the game, but are less fun for your experience.
Exactly. Yeah. So, anyway, let's go
with a Royal Fire Slug to see how it would be different if I was instead playing a tabletop game. Well, after using my quick wit and intelligence to get past the fire slugs, the Dungeon Master could choose to award my party with XP for talking our way out. Divinity is hesitant to do this, because then players could just talk past the slugs and kill them anyway, effectively double dipping on experience. If you tried that in a tabletop game, the DM could just come up with some excuse to keep you from abusing the system.
This is basically what we were talking about, like lack of flexibility.
But let's say the DM didn't award any XP for talking past the slugs. That's also fine, because each session is handcrafted by the Dungeon Master. If our party doesn't level up as fast, it's totally fine as long as the DM tailors the game to our party's level. And if we need to level up faster, we'll just stumble across some magic genie fairy pizza that gives us 5,000 XP. In a video game, there's always the fear of being too weak for the late game, so you want to get as much experience as you can. But in a tabletop game, that's the Dungeon Master's problem. Tabletops also don't usually allow for level grinding. I don't know about you guys, but I've never played a D&D campaign where the party just roamed around fighting dozens of kobolds without any story. Again, the DM sets the difficulty of each session, so there's no need to grind. The next challenge can always be calibrated to where the party's at. Now,
I know we kind of hammered that point home, but I really want to think about a system that incentivizes players to play in the most fun way. Because this is something I spent a lot of time doing. I was making a top-down tactics game, right? And I've noticed that sometimes the best way to play was move, attack, and ignore all the abilities. And I'm like, there's something wrong with this system if it's just a move attack game, right? Like the system itself needs to learn to incentivize the most fun way to play. And I think sometimes we get nervous in our games that we don't want to make stuff too powerful, right? You don't want to give the player a sword that's like insta kill, because then they're going to use it on everything. But what if that's the most fun way to play, right? Like just going around killing everything. Like what if instead of saying, no, they can't have the kill everything sword, what if the kill everything sword only lasts for 30 seconds like a Mario star, right? Because then it's like, yo, go get the kill everything sword. Yeah. That's such a fun experience. And I think we get stingy as developers, honestly. Like, I think we get like, no, it's going to break the game. Don't put that in there because it's going to be too powerful. But especially in a single player game, dude, break the game. That's what Slay the Spire did, bro. And that's why like people love that game, because some of those builds are stupid. When you get like the deck going and like you got this card that pulls this other card and then it kills like 5 dudes in a row.
Yeah. Tim, let me ask you, when you get to the end boss of any game, the end level, the end arena, the end enemies, whatever, do you like to feel prepared for them, or do you like to feel like they're just beyond you?
I don't like losing. So I'm probably an over preparer if I'm being real.
Right.
And generally my ideal experience is 5 to 10% failure rate, just kind of cruising through the game. Like I'm a normal or easy kind of guy. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah.
I don't want a significant challenge that I have to play over and over again, but I don't necessarily want something. I mean, sometimes I do. Sometimes I literally want a game with no challenge.
Yeah.
Like I feel like what's the game called? Forager. I play that game. That game doesn't have any challenge at all. It's just like, go here, craft this, kill this little hoppity flower thing. Yeah. That's like, yeah.
Because the thing is, well, listen, guys, I'll chat. If you got any opinions on this, let me know, because I'm an over preparer as well. But oftentimes I feel like games almost they're not hard enough. actually, and it's actually a little too easy to. I noticed this there's plenty of examples of this. It could be Pokemon with items. It could be Fallout with different kind of guns. Skyrim. I've noticed this all over the place. Is every time I get power weapons, I'll get good XP. I'll get power weapons. I'll get some kind of armor, and I'll save it. I'll think, okay, they've given me this.
You're a hoarder.
I'm a hoarder.
You're an item hoarder.
I'm an item hoarder because I'm like, dude, I'm gonna need this for like the end of the game, right? And then the end of the game comes, and I didn't even need it.
So, bro, that's such a good point, man, because that's the flip side of this too.
Right.
Incentivizing people to use the most fun weapon, but also incentivizing the items, right? Like, what if you made the items expire after 30 seconds or
then you'd use it? Yes.
Then you're like, oh, I need the item, right? Like, let me use it. Let me use it. Let me use it. And then you have the fun experience of doing whatever magical shit that item does.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of hoarders in here. Dude. Let's be honest. We need a hoarder support group. I feel like
we do. We do need a hoarder support group. HA, Hoarders Anonymous. What would make games tougher? Listen, I feel listen. Yeah, we're laughing at it. That's definitely what we need. I wouldn't use any of my good weapons in Breath of the Wild. Listen, I think that's Breath of the Wild.
Your good weapon. See, but think about what that does to your experience. So now you get all these good, great weapons in this amazing game, and you don't use them because they're gonna break.
Yeah, dude.
So you use the bad ones
because I think I don't know where it came from. I don't know where it comes from, right? But it still applies. I'm like, dude, maybe I had one traumatic experience when I was a kid where I used. I think you know what it might have been. It might have been like wasting the Master Ball in Pokemon on like a Bidoof, right? And then from then on,
that one seems cool. I want that one.
Exactly, yeah. And then from then on, I was like, I'm never doing that ever again. And so I'll hoard the snipers, hoard the power ups, the potions, the whatever. And I just think, okay, I gotta save it when the time's right. When I've died 10 times to the final boss, then I'm gonna use it. And so I think to make games tougher, what do we do? That's a great question in chat. Maybe
think in incentives, like 100%. I'm going to say that again because I've said this a few times. Incentivize the best way to play as the most fun way to play.
Right.
Really think about that. What is fun about your game, and then incentivize players to play that way. Figure that out. We can talk about that after the video, but like there's a bunch of things you can do.
Yeah. Yeah.
I held that Master Ball. Bro, the only way I ever use a Master Ball, because I would never use one, because you get one of them. The only way I would ever use them is that glitch where if you deposit it and then save the game, and you have to turn your Game Boy off and then turn it back on, and I got like 50 of them. And even then, I would still use them sparingly. I'd be like, okay, the Moltres, I'll use it on the Moltres.
God damn.
All right.
Now, Dungeons & Dragons doesn't really do a better job at tying your actions to skill progression. Experience points are generic, and whether you get them from fishing or fighting, level 4 is level 4. Still, I would argue that this is less of an issue here. If you're playing a Dungeons & Dragons campaign, your party is going to fight sooner or later. Video game RPGs have pushed nonviolent skills and playthroughs way further than D&D ever intended, and so these systems weren't built to handle these approaches. So what are the alternatives that digital RPGs can use? Well, luckily for us, there are some games that are taking a different approach, ones that are much more intentionally designed for the medium of video games. The Elder Scrolls games do a fantastic job of tying your skills to the actions you take. In Skyrim, you don't get generic XP that you can use on anything. Instead, each skill has its own XP tracker separate from all the others. Once enough skills have leveled up, your character levels up, giving you a chance to choose a perk for one of your skills.
That's cool.
This system directly ties your actions to your progression and shapes your character based on the way you play. If you hit stuff with a sword, you'll get better at swordsmanship. If you make potions, you'll get better at alchemy. And if you sneak past enemies, you'll get better at stealth.
Dude, maybe there's a reason Skyrim is like one of the best games of all time.
Best game ever, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like maybe.
It's
I don't know.
Real good. Real good. Tim,
it makes sense to lean into your character's playstyle.
Sorry,
No, you're good. I was just saying it's a tragedy you haven't played it, man.
Maybe I need to. I got a Steam Deck now.
Yeah.
Because that's the only way you're going to improve at those skills. Hunting skeletons isn't going to make you any better at lockpicking. Skyrim actually makes role-playing your character strategically optimal, and that's a pretty impressive feat. Underrail has one of the most unique approaches I've ever seen. If you choose to play the game using the oddity system, you only get experience for completing quests and collecting oddities. These oddities are strewn around the world and can be found by exploring. The harder it is to get, the more experience it'll grant.
I've never heard of this game. Underrail? You guys heard of this game?
Is that the one with the talking skeletons? Oh, that's Undertale. Sorry, my bad.
Underrail.
Underrail.
This puts the burden on exploring the world and getting to these oddities in any way possible, regardless of what approach you take. I think the Underrail wiki puts it perfectly. Quote, "The main purpose of this system is to allow players to level at a similar rate, regardless of what their build and playstyle is. Going through the world stealthily, guns blazing, or in some cases diplomatically, or anything in between should now earn you a similar amount of experience." End quote. There are some oddities that you can only get from killing enemies, but you can only get a limited amount of experience this way. This means that players who take a combat-oriented approach will still get rewarded for fighting, but other playstyles will have other opportunities to get oddities. This limit on combat XP also puts a stop to level grinding. Once you've gotten past a certain number of a specific oddity, it stops giving you any more experience.
Oh, this is like Fallout 2. That's what you guys are saying. It's a shelter for old school Fallout players. That makes sense.
Can we just pause the video? The most outrageous thing I've ever heard. We got chat. Where is it? Siegfried. I don't get why having more than one way to play a game should even be a thing. It's insane. Insane take, Siegfried.
Okay.
Wow.
Let's unpack that a little bit, because Pal World is a game that I love, and it's designed really, really well. Which, by the way, there's a bunch of stuff going down with Nintendo and Pal World right now. But the fact that they let me change the experience makes me play the game more. So if you don't want players to play your game more, and you don't want more players to play your game, sure. I mean, and there are plenty of games that like don't need a bunch of different ways to play. And I don't think the core of what we're talking about here is to let players do stealth or action or all this in every game. I think we're talking directly about the incentives of doing those things, and why, if those incentives are tied to the wrong place, you get a worse experience. So I'm not necessarily on the team that every game should be on, the multiple ways to play deal. But I do think different players have different preferences, and if you can let them sort of express themselves in your game, you're going to get more people to play it. I think Minecraft is a perfect example of this, because look at all the ways you could play that game, and so look at all the people that play it.
Yeah. Listen, I will admit, well, you know what? I will not confirm nor deny whether I spend a lot of my time modding games that I'm not supposed to mod. Okay, but let me tell you this. From what I've heard from my friends who do mod, is that when you have choices, the more choices I have to how I want to play my game, the more ways I can customize my heads-up display, move a map across the screen, change the font, change the speed of the character. You know, maybe things that maybe sometimes go too far, but I enjoy them more. I actually play the game more with more options, even if they go beyond what the developers intended, or they count as cheats or whatever. Not supposed to mod. What do you mean? The writers, sorry. So what I mean by modding is modding maybe when you're not supposed to be modding, cheats and stuff, but only for single player games. I do not encourage cheating in online games. I'm being serious. But for like single player experiences, customizing options beyond what's there, if you catch my drift.
Like going into config files and stuff like that, and messing with them.
Playing with FOV, playing with settings, skins, whatever. I always end up replaying those games more than I would have if I didn't have that, right? So
I agree. And the ultimate form of this is accessibility, right? So like
exactly.
There was a game we were looking at a couple weeks ago where they had it was a precision platformer, but they had an option to slow the game down by 50, 25%. There's a little slider. You can slow the game down. You're like, why would you add that? Well, some people want to play that game, but they don't want the intensity that comes with that game. So giving them that option makes them play it more.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, when I found that option, I was like, all right, I could use a 75% experience, right? Let me turn that down a little bit. Yeah. And then I had a good time with the game.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. The only way I'll play The Witcher 3 is if I have infinite sprint. I'm not even kidding. Like, let me mod that shit in. But I'll enjoy your experience more. Anyway, yeah. Let's go.
Okay, cool. Boom.
For example, junkyard beauties drop acid burnt bones. You can study 4 bones to gain XP, but after that, you're not going to learn much more. I love that Stygian Software decided to take a risk and try something really different. I want to see more developers create unique experience systems. Underrail proves that there's untapped potential here, and that more creative ideas could address big game design questions. As I was writing this essay, it became clear to me just how much we still rely on systems that were designed for tabletop RPGs, some of which don't translate as well as we might think. Video games are still a young medium compared to film, music, or theater, and experience systems are one of those small things we still need to figure out. Let me know in the comment section if you have another example of a great XP system. And if you're interested in essays about video game design,
Bro, guys, subscribe to him. Okay, he's a good channel.
No, for real.
Go and subscribe to Game Dev Adventures. But yeah, I think
that was a real good video, Tim, by the way. Thank you for that.
I think, yeah, I really appreciate when people break stuff down like this, because this is such a simple point, but it's so prevalent in game design. And again, I think the ultimate point here is not to add a bunch of work to you as a developer, right? It's not adding a bunch of systems. It's not do a bunch of extra stuff. It's not make your game something you don't want to make, right? I think it really comes down to just think about how you want players to play your game, and then align that with the incentives in the game, and align that with the most fun way to play your game.
Listen, I would say, guys, especially for beginner devs or any devs, to be honest, but especially us, because I know I'm in your shoes too. I think you can get really. You almost feel like it's your duty to insist that players play your game the way you want it to be played. But like I'm telling you, with cheating in single player games, right? Infinite sprint, adjusting things that weren't there before, settings, meters, accessibility stuff, right? If you let me play your game the way I want to play it, there's a middle ground to be had. So don't get sort of stubbornly insistent that players must play your game the way, know this, know that, know this. Don't box them in, because I can guarantee you people, some people are going to love your game for that. But you'll get more replayability out of your game, and players will keep coming back if the more options they have. I'm just telling you. I don't know if that's a fact, but I down that hill.
Yeah, there's a lot of people with a lot of preferences, and again, as an indie developer, you have limited resources, right? There's a triangle on the interwebs called the scope, budget, time triangle, right? And sometimes stuff that is larger scope takes extra time, but you can save money, right? And so on and so forth. So if you got a bunch of budget, then you could do it faster with the bigger scope, right? So you got to balance stuff, and a lot of this stuff takes dev time and stuff like that. So I'm not saying you should immediately go do stuff, but it's. I just think it's important because players can get stuck in your game doing things they don't want to do.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Remember a talk I went to recently? It was all about how more flexibility in a game leads to more enjoyment. Dude, Breath of the Wild is a great example of that. Or just games. I remember initially when I played Half-Life 2, you have the gravity gun, right? You have some physics stuff, right? You can drag crates around, you can be silly and be stupid. Initially, I was like, this is dumb, because this game was trying to tell me a super serious story about, rebelling against an alien force, but here I am making a dick out of boxes, right? But it was fun, actually. And actually, I wasn't put off from the story by doing that. In fact, I actually felt more immersed. I was like, I can make a dick out of boxes. I'm in the world. If I couldn't do that, then it's almost like get these chains off me. Let me make my, stuff. But
if you want them to play your game, let them make dicks out of boxes.
Let me make dicks out of boxes, all right? But you guys understand what I'm saying? Which is just that flexibility that you might think is silly, right? You're making this game, you got a set vision, you got an atmosphere, you got a vibe. Okay, this is what players want to experience. But I'm just allow them some flexibility, even if you think it's silly. In fact, especially if you think it's a little bit silly, let them do it.
There's so my game Philophobia, there's 4 sections. One of them is based on the emotion anger, and it's the second section in the game. And there is a level there that I wanted to deliver the emotion of anger. And so I made this really difficult, ragey level. I also have analytics in the game, and I can see what level people stop playing the game at. And that is not only does it have the most deaths out of any level, it is also the point at which people stop playing my game. It's a cutoff. People stop playing the game at that level. And I'm not talking a little bit. I'm talking like more than 60% of the players stop playing the entire game at that level. And it was all weird because I shipped it, and I feel like I can't change the level after I shipped it. And I didn't feel like the game was mine anymore, like the game's kind of out there. Changing a level in an update seems kind of weird, but I regretted that, man, because to me that was a tragedy, because now people aren't going to get to experience my game because I, in my designer ego, thought that this is what they should go through, right?
Yeah.
And I regret that. It's one of my regrets. I kind of wish I would have added some accessibility settings. I would have added a skip level button. I would have added, maybe not change the level, but something to just allow players that wanted to keep going but weren't necessarily into that challenge. Something to kind of let them play the way they wanted to play, because that was a really intense level, and not everybody's there for a really intense platformer, especially because it was like 5 stages of grief and the game about depression and all that other stuff too. Like, some people were there for that stuff, right?
Yeah.
They're not there for like the hardcore precision platforming to make them feel anger.
Yeah.
So it's just, that's the thing I think about every 6 months and get sad about.
Well, Tim, interestingly though, because I feel like we've talked here before about, in fact, even at the beginning today, we were talking about how the things you incentivize in your games are the way people are going to play it. So do you think adding a skip button would incentivize people to skip?
So the UX of this is really, really, really important to the way that you do that.
Right.
If every time they die, you pop up a big button that says skip, you're incentivizing skip.
Right.
But if they have to go into the settings and then turn on the skip level option, and then it shows up in the bottom right corner every 5 times they die, right?
Sure.
You're not incentivizing it, but you're giving them the option. So UX is really, really important to the way that you incentivize things. Even like the default mode, when you're starting a game, you hit start game and it's like, do you want easy, normal, whatever? If it starts on normal, that's where the incentive is to go. It's the easiest path of least resistance. Most people are just going to hit start and play that level. So you really don't want to tailor that to you. I've seen some games that start on hard, or they start on some weird difficulty, or they start with some weird settings.
Ash Lucia, sorry Tim to interrupt. No, finish your point.
I'm
done. Okay. Sorry, I just felt like I was cutting you off there. Ash Lucia, I'm making a Souls-like game where the main character has died and you're going through the 5 stages of grief. Sounds very familiar. Listen, play Tim's game. It is linked in chat. Highly recommended. And maybe you can compare. You can see how maybe he does it and how you do it. And just recommending that.
I think that's really cool. Each boss has an alt-win condition fitting the stage of grief they represent. I think that's awesome.
That's real sick.
That game helped me work through some shit.
Yeah.
No, I didn't do alt-win conditions. One of the things I did do on this topic, though, is there's these little like half-broken hearts, the golden hearts that you can collect in the game. And one of the things that I wanted to do was, they're really hard to get, right? So I wanted to get players that wanted to play a little bit more hardcore. I wanted to give them the additional experience of going to get the heart. So there's completing the level, but then there's like getting the heart in each level. And the hearts are usually in really hard to get positions. What I wanted to do that I didn't get done was, if you collected all the hearts and you got 100% of hearts, you would unlock the realm 666, which would be like ultra hardcore mode. And if you think about that, what that does is it says, oh, you like hard difficulty, so you did this hard thing. Well, here's a reward of hard stuff, right? Some games, they don't really think about that. They say, oh, you did the hard thing. Well, here's a reward of easy stuff. Or you did the easy thing. Here's a reward of hard stuff. But the people that are specifically going to go for those types of challenges want those harder things. And so rewarding them with stuff that they want that incentivizes them is a good way. I really wish I would have got to that. I got a few of those levels built, but I never patched the game and I ran out of time. But
just think I will. Everyone should play Gris, Gris. Tim, have you heard of that? You heard
no,
of
no. What dis?
Not heard.
Oh, this looks cool though. It's got some style to it.
Oh, hell yeah. Gris is a hopefully young girl lost in her own world, dealing with a painful experience in her life. Her journey through sorrow is a manifestation. Is manifested in her dress, which grants her abilities to better navigate faded reality. That is...
Oh. That's cool.
Who recommended that? Stefan? Listen, you just sold their game to me. Well done. GG.
I love this art style. Dude.
GG. You just got them in sale.
I love.
That's insane.
$15. That's not bad.
That's pretty good. Oh, 15. It's on free? Never mind. Forget it.
We need to start a BIM fund where BIM can buy games.
Oh, yeah.
And then illegally mod them.
And they get so much replay value out of them to recommend it to other people.
BIM breaks your game to be able to play it.
This game is so good. I've never heard of this. This looks insane.
Yeah.
I adore it. Made me cry.
Scourgebringer. That's the game, dude. That's the game that has the slider for speed. That's the one, man. I love that game because of that. It's got great accessibility options. Sorry, what were we going to say?
No, for real. Guys, while we're here, does anyone else have any games like this they want to share? We got Gris. I'm writing this down. That's insane.
This
Scourgebringer.
Yeah. It's great.
That monster before.
This was free at one point on Epic, so if you guys are a weekly free game hound like I am, and you do your weekly rounds and you go to Epic and you redeem whatever is there, you got this already.
Real nice. That's real nice.
Yeah, but this is the game. It has a slider for speed, which is super cool.
A slide. Well, see, that's the thing. A lot of the mod menus that I've seen will have game speed options, so you can speed up the game. Obviously, cheating, but cheating if it's single player. But yeah, I think that's something a lot of games should have. A lot of mobile games have that. Like really straightforward ones, really simple ones.
Yeah.
You can fast forward. Pause.
Speed's pretty important because BIM, from like developing, when you're making a game and you play it 1,000 times, what do you want to do? You want to increase the speed of your character. and then you play that 1,000 times. You're like, what do you want? You want to increase the speed of that character? It's the same thing when you're playing, honestly. That's why like unlimited sprint is important too, because it's like, it moving takes time. And if you really are into a thing, sometimes you want to speed up the thing, or sometimes just you need a faster experience because your brain works faster than other people's brains, right? Like,
no, for sure. Yeah. Carissa says, Carissa, who has time to play games? Me. Hello? Only if they're free.
Tunic. This is another game that got recommended.
Explore a land filled with lost legends, ancient powers, and precious monsters. That's real cool. That's beautiful. Both of these games have been beautiful.
It's a beautiful game. Yeah.
Wow.
Benji. That's Adam. What's his name? Adam.
I'm not sure.
Adam something and his wife run that company.
Inmost, says Dr. Puzzler. Should we look at Inmost, Tim?
Inmost?
Dude, another beautiful platformer. Wow, look at that.
Y'all love beautiful platformers.
Can we rename GameDev.tv to Beautiful Platformers Fan Club?
I'm a sucker for this kind of art, dude. These are works of art, really. They're interactive art pieces. What this reminds me of too is Rain World. You guys seen that?
Oh, of course, yeah.
This is a beautiful game.
Wow. Tunic looks like cute Fox Zelda, but it plays like Dark Souls. God damn. Tunic soundtrack is one of my favorites.
Animal Well. You guys got lots of cool games.
I'm not a fan of the camera lock on bosses, says Abby, but there's an accessibility feature in the settings that lets you toggle invincibility. There's an accessibility feature that makes you invulnerable.
Okay, so check that out. Let's think about that, because as game developers, what did a lot of us think? No, we can't add invulnerability to our game.
Yeah.
Why would you ever add invulnerability to your game? But dude, what if you just want to experience the game, right? Like, what if you just want to like have a chill experience and not die? What if you had a really shitty day and like everything went bad in your whole day, your whole week, right? And you can't stand to lose again. What if you just want to boop, turn the invincibility on and just play through the game?
Dude, you know what I just thought? My initial thought, like you just said, was no fucking way, right? But, well, think about it. If you invincible your way through the whole game, the way I'm thinking about it is, as somebody who's done that in a couple of games, I don't really feel fulfilled by the end of it. And in fact, I'm just going to go back and do it legit anyway. So really, I don't think maybe it's not as big of a problem as it sounds on the surface.
That's because what you want out of the game is not the same as what someone else wants out of that game, right?
Yeah.
Like you want the challenge, you want the experience, you want the whatever it is that is pushing you to complete these things. You want to make dicks on boxes, you know, your whatever your hobbies are, you want to express those in the games that you play. Not everybody's like that. Like I personally love chill games. And I save scum a lot too, which it might as well give me invincibility at that point. If I'm gonna reload every time I die, again, that's just a shitty experience for me because I just got to go through all this time reloading stuff.
Dude, I would love to have experienced the world. I wish Elden Ring had an invincibility option because I've seen that.
To just explore
go around the world. Yeah, I love that. Somebody said Journey. I've played Journey. W game. It's an amazing game. Real good, real beautiful.
Yeah.
Co-op.
There's a great Designer Notes episode. Designer Notes is a podcast about game design. It's a great episode on the devs that made Journey.
Really?
Because they talk about the struggle to make this game and how it was a very unique take on a game, and a little things like how when you meet somebody in the world, you know, they don't have a username, you can't talk to them, but you just sort of like experience them. And the incentives are to help people, right? They're not like, you don't get XP from killing the dude, you know? Like,
yeah. I'm quite tired of people naming games and things regular words like Journey. Yeah, the writer, I agree. It's obviously very, they do it because it's catchy, right? When you think of Journey, you know, it's easy.
I made a game called Fatherphobia, so that's a single word.
But it's
I would go on a rant with you, but I'm on the other team.
Well, hang on. He said regular words. Philophobia, I would not say is a regular word.
Well, Halo is a regular word too. I love single word game titles. I try really hard to make single word game titles because I think they're so, when you get the right word, like Halo is such a great name, dude. And then you find out it's a ring world that they call Halo. Like it's just, that kind of fiction just makes my soul happy.
I'll be back in 1 second. I'm going to grab something for you, Tim. Keep everybody entertained.
All right. I shall entertain you. Search on Google, you just find this random game you never heard of. Oh, Journey? What are you talking about? Which game specifically? I haven't played, by the way, someone said Baldur's Gate save scammers. I haven't played Baldur's Gate yet. I need to.
So, Tim, are you into reading at the moment?
Various stages of my life, I go in and out of it. But yeah.
So, I do believe this inspired, when did this come out? I'm almost 100% sure this inspired Halo. There is a book called Ringworld that I highly recommend you read. Yes.
That looks a little familiar.
Looks a little familiar, doesn't it? Yeah. It came out in like the 1900s, I think. Late
1900s. You make me feel so fucking old. The late 1900s.
Hang on, let me just double check.
Oh my God.
When did this
You
come
know,
out?
it came out in the late 1900s.
1970. That's when Tim turned 1. 1970. Okay. And that looks a little familiar. So if you like Halo, check this out.
I might give that a read. I've heard that Halo books are actually pretty good too.
Yeah, they are.
But
Yeah,
I
I've read
haven't.
those too. The Fall of Reach is
Really?
amazing. Yeah. Real good.
Really? I was waiting for be on Kindle Unlimited, but I was cheap. They never ended up there.
Go to your local bookshop, Tim. You're old, says Dr. Puzzle. Dude, Tim's ancient, man. Tim's ancient.
Do you see gray in this beard? No, I don't think. I'm not wizard age yet.
Guys, he dyes it for sure.
For sure. I may rip the gray hairs out individually aggressively, but there's no dye in this beard.
Dude, maybe
Read
Tim.
that back in June.
Chat, should I buy this for Tim's birthday? What do you think? Do you think I should do that? I'll do that. In fact, I have it here. I'll just send this to you for your birthday.
Bro, you've learned the lesson on shipping when you mailed me the keychain. How much? Look, he mailed me this keychain. How much did this cost to ship, Bim?
I think it was about 10 pounds. I think.
Okay.
Wait, I don't remember actually.
Maybe I'm thinking of how much it costs to ship you shit from Murder Bunnies. That was like $150.
Yeah, but that was a whole. You shipped me like 2 boxes. That was insane.
Still, dude, that was more. There's more shipping cost than the contents of the package.
Bim's going to bring up stone tablets. Listen, there's a stone tablet called Ringworld. All right, came out in 1800. Came out in 1969.
Is a Sharpie for what? I do like Sharpies. I have many colors of Sharpies.
What is that keychain? The keychain is from all to be revealed in time, but it's from a little project that Tim and I were working on together for a little while. We haven't shown anyone yet, so we will real soon. But
it's a secret.
It's a secret.
I'm scared.
I'm scared
of showing people.
You guys are gonna judge me. No,
he's keeping it secret until he finishes a certain part.
Yeah, for real. 1900 was 124 years ago. Man, I'm old.
The late 1900s.
Tim is
damn, dude. It's been that long. The 90s.
Wait, Kira Fontaine. Wow, you guys are killing me. I think I read that back in junior high. Kira, you've read this? Let's go. Kira, you are the goated member of today's stream. Congratulations.
The goated. Do we have a goated member every stream?
Every stream. Last stream. Every time Gary shows up, it's Gary. But if
Gary
Gary's
gets
not
the default
here,
goat.
He does.
Then someone gets the goat title.
If
gotcha.
he's not here, someone else does. So Kira, you're the goat of today's stream for reading this. Well done. That's insane.
All right. Well, on that note, I think it's time. I don't want to have the stupid Top Gear outro every time. But I think we need to get out of here. Bim and I got stuff to do.
We do.
He may or may not be working on a special Halloween giveaway. That may include some. That may be free for all of the lovely people in the GameDev.tv community. So he's got to get to work.
I do. Goddamn.
I gotta tell him to get to work because that's my job. So.
What's the book called? Hang on, sorry. Is it Rainworld? No, sorry, Ringworld by Larry Niven. I don't know.
Ringworld. There's a game called Rainworld, but the book is called Ringworld.
Yeah.
Ringworld. Boom.
By Larry Niven. So if you guys
Rendezvous with Rama is a great book, yo. Very unexpected. I did not expect going into that book, but it's a really cool book. But yeah. All right, lovely peeps. We will see you next week. Thanks for hanging. It was fun. It was a cool format. I like this format. I think this was cool. I think we could learn some stuff and share some stuff. Maybe we'll try this again next week, find some cool stuff for you.
Hell yeah. This was a really good stream, guys. Thanks for hanging.
Yeah. I'll see you guys next week. Say bye, Bim.
Bye, Bim.
Say bye, people.
Bye, people.
Oh, that's the wrong one. This is the right one. Goodbye,
love y'all.
everybody.
Thanks for hanging. See you the same time next week.
Same time next. Later, taters.
Later,
taters. That too.
See you later.
I'm not a tater. I'm a gator. I'm in Florida. Shit, I got to prep for my hurricane. There's a hurricane coming, Bim.
God damn
I gotta like, no, for real. There's like a hurricane coming tomorrow, and I gotta
there
like,
is.
there's a real hurricane coming tomorrow that I gotta go prep for. So,
Guys, this is your final goodbye to Tim.
if I don't make it next week, you know what happened. I got eaten by gators in the flood.